17th. We are here today to meet with the Cheektowaga Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative Task Force. So I would like to take this moment just to introduce our panel or people on the task force. Our chairman will be Richard Chamberlain. He's a retired police captain and teacher at the Police Academy. Then Mike Cohen is the general manager of Pyramid Corporation and the Walden Galleria Mall. Danny Connors Jr. is here today. He's a Cheektowaga community advocate. John Duziak is the town of Cheektowaga town attorney and prosecutor. Tom Ferrucci is the mayor of Sloan. Dr. Matthew Giordano is the president of Villa Maria College. Paul Hockwater is our senior public safety dispatch supervisor and Forks Fire Company representative. And we have Reverend Rick Masano is our clergy. He's also the president of the Dick Urban Community Association, and he's a volunteer at the Maryvale School District. Then we have Tom Mazer. He's a former Erie County legislator and a former Cheektowaga town councilman. Tony Nazareth, our Cheektowaga police officer and school resource officer. Our Chief Mike Slawinski is the Cheektowaga Chief of Police. Jim Vallone is our defense attorney and former Cheektowaga Town Justice. Kenneth Young is our president of the Town Park Community Association. And Scott Zip is the principal at Cheektowaga Central High School. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Back in June, the governor of New York State had issued Executive Order 203, and I'm going, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I heard somebody say wait. Okay, so Executive Order 203. Could you go back, Lynn, to the first slide of the...
Sorry.
I think there's one before that.
There we go.
Okay, so I'm going to read this real quick so we know what the executive order actually said. Each chief executive of such local government shall convene the head of the local police agency and stakeholders in the community to develop such plan which shall consider evidence-based policing strategies, including but not limited to use of force policies, procedural justice, any studies addressing systematic racial bias or racial justice in policing, implicit bias awareness training, de-escalation training and practices, law enforcement assisted diversion programs, restorative justice practices, community-based outreach and conflict resolution, problem-oriented policing, hotspot policing, focused deterrence, crime prevention through environmental design, violence prevention and reduction interventions, model policies and guidelines promulgated by the New York State Municipal Police Training Council. We're going to pass through the rest of the executive order because I'm going to summarize that in the slide after that. So, Lynn, can we go to the other PowerPoint slides?
Right, keep going here.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a collaborative process. All of this must be done by a collaborative process as defined in the guide provided by the state, and that's the New York State Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative. Okay, next slide. What does this all mean, and what should this process include? The chief executive, that is me, the town supervisor, in conjunction with the chief of police, we put this police reform and reinvention task force together. The task force will listen to opinions, remarks, and concerns from the entire community served by its police agency and evaluate the department's current policies and practices. Establish policies that allow police to effectively and safely perform their duties. Develop policy recommendations resulting from this review and offer a plan for public comment. Present the final plan to the Cheektowaga Town Board to adopt a local law. And then After the local law is adopted, we need to certify adoption by the plan to the state budget director on or before April 1st, 2021. Next slide. Key questions and insights for consideration of putting this plan together. We're going to ask, what functions should the police reform? And that's what we're going to hear from our residents. Determining the role of the police, staffing, budgeting, and equipping our police department with what they need. Next slide. Establishing smart and effective policing standards and strategies. Examine procedural justice and community policing. It's another part of this. And the next slide. Fostering community-oriented leadership, culture, and accountability. We need leadership and culture, tracking and reviewing use of force and identifying misconduct, internal accountability for misconduct, citizen oversight and other external accountability, and data, technology, and transparency. These are our goals. Recruiting and supporting excellent personnel. Recruiting a diverse workforce. Training and continuing education is a must, and supporting officer wellness and well-being is also imperative. 3 ways the community can participate. Take our survey. It is available on the Town of Cheektowaga website, tocny.org. And as you can see, you just press the Cheektowaga Police Community Survey, or share your comments on police reform through an email, pdreform@tocny.org. This will go right to the Chief of Police and my office, and we will be reading everyone's comments at the next meeting. We're having several meetings after this, so please make sure that you get your comments in. The next meeting actually is scheduled for January 21st at 6 o'clock. Or you can send a regular mail to Cheektowaga Police Department, attention Chief Slawinski, 3223 Union Road, Cheektowaga, 14227. And you can watch the meetings on the town YouTube channel. We're hoping that by the next meeting, you can watch this live, and we won't have any glitches in the system. I think that's it for now. Thank you for committing to serve on this committee, and I appreciate everybody's input. So please don't forget to take the survey, and the task force members should take it too. So I will pass this on to Chief Slawinski and Richie Chamberlain. Richie, you're our chairman. Richie's muted, I think.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for participating in this too, and I want to thank the chief for asking me. For those of you who don't know me, I worked for Cheektowaga for about 35 and a half years. I was a patrol officer, sergeant, lieutenant, and captain. Most of my time was in patrol, but I was involved in a lot of the community policing projects and the community outreach stuff that we did. After I retired, I was fortunate enough to work at the police academy, and I was hired to work with supervisors, but I also do a project with a basic police academy on community policing and the meaning of it. So I have quite a bit of background in this and quite a bit of interest in the town of Cheektowaga. I think as we go through this, and this is a mandate by the state and the governor, and it's something that's supposed to be completed in April. But the state had enough foresight not to make this a one-fits-all approach to the community. And what they've done is they've given us enough flexibility to adapt our program to the needs of the town of Cheektowaga. And with this, without this mandate, we would have never come together with this many stakeholders to review police policy and practice and in an attempt to improve police service. And I think it's important to look at this as truly an opportunity. And to the community out there that's listening to this, the task force wants to listen to you, the community. We want to hear what you have to say, and your input is important. And also, as we proceed through this process, it's important to go back and talk about the overall police mission and the police purpose. And first of all, it's about crime, the prevention and response to crime. Both are equally important. It's about public safety in dealing with issues of public safety. It's about public service to our community. It's about working with other disciplines. All of the people that are here, all the things from mental health to emergency response. It's about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. And it's about treating all people with respect and dignity. And it's about developing a guardian philosophy to policing. Back in 1829, the father of modern policing, Sir Robert Peel, developed 9 principles, and they are still very relevant today. The one that should guide us is his principle number 7, and that is to maintain at all times a relationship with the public that gives the reality to the historic tradition that the police are the public and the public are the police. And I'll repeat that again. The police are the public and the public are the police. So to the community that's listening to this, we want your input. And as the supervisor said, there are certain ways that you can contact us. You can take that survey. You can get to us through the email, pdreform@tocny.org, or you can send mail directly to the Cheektowaga Police Department, attention to Chief Selinsky at 3223 Union Road. So that's all the introductory that I have to this. Chief, do you have anything to add?
Sure, I just have a couple of things. Just like the supervisor and Rich Chamberlain said, we want input from the community. We want to hear what your thoughts and concerns are so we can make the best decisions for this police department. The town of Cheektowaga is blessed to have a full service agency. We don't just respond to crimes, we actually go out and help people. That is our goal. We're out there to help, to serve and protect the community. We have a large population within the town, and we also have a large workforce as well as people passing through the town. We have a large retail corridor that we also serve. So we have contact with many, many people. Police calls, we average probably about 50,000 calls a year, give or take, not counting emergency services like through fire and medical. So we're a pretty busy police department. Like we said, we welcome anyone's comments, anyone's concerns. As far as me, I'll be able to provide real-time information regarding stats that we maintain and also regarding our policies. And that's what we're here to look at, some of our policies to make sure they're the best policies that serve the community. Our policies come through a company called Lexipol. It's out west, and what it is, it's a group of individuals, majority are attorneys, and they take a look at current trends, changes within the country, within the individual states, different agreements and settlements that come out of law that help us form the best policies we can have. The town of Cheektowaga Police Department is also an accredited agency, and by being an accredited agency, we get an assessment every several years from New York State. We have to meet so many requirements. These are requirements from things from training to how we control our evidence and property. So it's actually very, very involved process, and we're very lucky that my staff and I are able to pass it. It's a team effort within the Cheektowaga Police Department, everyone we deal with. This has been a difficult year in some respects for law enforcement, and those are some of the issues we're also going to talk about. But I want to thank everyone for being on this committee, for being on this board. And we'll actually get into more detailed conversation at the next meeting. Thank you. Would anyone on the panel like to say anything?
I had a question for John Dudziak. John, the way I interpret it is that Governor Cuomo already passed a STAT Act, which goes to recording people, the Latino and the African American community in terms of their arrest scenarios, and then also reporting of related deaths. Then there's a weapons discharge reporting, which talks about reporting firing weapons by the police department. And then there's a mental health part of the enactment, as far as I interpret it, regarding services to individuals in custody regarding medical needs. Then, as I read the press or saw the press release by Governor Cuomo, it looked like he was talking about this choking scenario. And the question I have is this. It looks like in the press release, Governor Cuomo was saying that if we don't discontinue that process, that we would risk state funding. And when I looked at the police manual, regarding force, one of the methods of putting somebody under arrest, or at least, trying to prevent them from causing any issues, is the choking, the chokehold. So I don't know whether or not Governor Cuomo's, those enactments are in place now. I don't know whether or not his, for lack of a better term, alerting us to this chokehold scenario is, he's just saying, listen, I'll withhold funding if we don't get there. Because quite frankly, the police manual is very, very thorough about use of force. And it also has a part of it that a police officer that sees another police officer using too much force can be reported by that police officer, the other police officer, which I think would put somebody, quite frankly, in a tough position. But I think that's what we're talking about anyway, right? So I'm not certain what's already legislation, John, and to what extent the governor is saying, listen, you've got to do this or I'm going to withhold funding. So hopefully, John, you got all that, because I was wondering if you had a grasp of that.
Jim, my understanding is, well, I'm not sure if we're getting into the legislation, the policy making tonight per Chief Zielinski, but my understanding is the STAT Act is for New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services to capture and report on those types of things. So I'm not sure what you're asking. I'm not sure if you're asking if it's on a local level, and we could talk offline on that, but
Okay.
I'm not really sure what you're asking.
I was just looking at what appeared to be the statutes that he signed into law. But Chief, can I talk to you for a minute?
Sure.
I realize that part of your your manual is the chokehold. And it sounds like, if we want to really get to the heart of some of this stuff, it sounds like that's been a real problem area, throughout the country. It's been a big issue, right? And it looked like those techniques really are what was the cause, the accelerant behind these conversations, along with other things, of course. But I was just wondering, are you, as part of these discussions, considering changing some of those practices in the manual? And is that part of what we're to discuss as part of this panel? I'm not really certain. I saw the bullet point. I appreciate Lynn putting it up, but and the supervisor's commentary. But is that part of the gravamen of what we're going to get at? Because obviously, I think that's important as a defense attorney and a former judge.
Which manual are you referring to?
Policy 300,
I beg
isn't
pardon?
that policy 300, chief? Isn't that, I just caught that on kind of like your informational website stuff. Town of Cheektowaga Police Department Manual regarding use of force.
Use of
Is that-
force?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, these are things that we're going to address. They don't teach chokeholds in the police academy. And any kind of constriction to the head or neck area is being eliminated, I guess is the best way to put it, and our policy reflects that, our use of force policy.
As far as the police academy, I don't ever remember the police academy teaching the chokehold. The only thing that the police academy teaches is how to get out of a chokehold if somebody puts an officer in a chokehold. What
Captain,
some of the things that have been done has been reinforced what the academy is already doing.
okay. Well, Captain, it's nice to hear from you and see you. I was looking through the policy 300, the use of force. I know that Governor Cuomo is really looking at this very strenuously, as are most states. This has come up along with, these unfortunate shootings that have happened, right? For unarmed persons. So my interpretation of what we were supposed to do was to deal with some of those issues and find a place in which the police department can function, of course, in a very tough environment. I really respect that, as you probably know. But also respecting the situation regarding the civilians, our constituents, and people that come through the towns, of course, and see where that all kind of lies. Where are we going to go in the middle of that? And maybe I jumped ahead of everybody, but I kind of thought that that's what we were going to talk about throughout our discussions, because the governor's all over it, quite frankly.
Those are certainly topics we're going to discuss at the next meeting or the meeting after that. This one is the
Okay.
introductory type meeting, just to get things started, to kind of say who we are, what we plan on doing, and how we plan on doing it.
Well,
All
I'm
of those-
sorry. I'm
All of
sorry.
those
I
issues will be
jumped in
looked
there.
at. All of
Okay.
those issues will be looked at. We'll be looking at all of the use of force stuff and go over the policies and the training, and, it's just one of the many things that we'll be looking at.
Yes, sir. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Does anybody else on the panel have any comments or questions?
The only thing that I would add is the chief talked about Lexapol. Lexapol is nationwide. It's also worldwide. It was started by a guy named Gordon Graham. He is the president of it. The decision-making model that he teaches, he has come here to Erie County, Western New York, and taught that decision-making model. The police academy also teaches that at the supervisor level and also at the basic level too.
I got a question. We keep hearing about defund the police. In my mind, defund the police isn't necessarily getting rid of the police. It may mean just having more oversight over the police and doing things a different way. Chief, have you heard anything? Has anyone contacted you about defunding the police, or have you heard anything on that level?
Not within the town of Cheektowaga, but I read articles on other agencies throughout the state where councils and city councils, town councils are looking at that, but nothing in the town of Cheektowaga at this point.
I think as we go through this process too, there's so many things going on, is that, once again, this is about the town of Cheektowaga, and this is about how we deal with each other, and this is about our chance to solve problems. And one of the things that goes on is sometimes we have spend too much time where we can have the least effect. And this is an opportunity for all of us to spend time where we can have a good effect on what's going on in the town and policing in the town. And there's all kinds of stuff going on all over the place. And this is a chance to focus here on what we can do to make things better.
Chief, can I ask another question?
Sure.
You mentioned what's going on because of the COVID. I mean, obviously, this whole thing's a mess. I mean, the courts are shut down right now, Chief, as you probably know. In fact, our court's been shut down a couple of times. What are some of the biggest problems that you've encountered with the police department and what's happened as a result of COVID?
Well,
Can I ask you that?
Certainly. One of the biggest thing is keeping my personnel healthy and safe. And that's difficult because we are out dealing with the community every day. We are going in houses, we are stopping cars, we are doing, what police work is. Police work is dealing with people. So some of the things that we've looked at is our dispatch, when they receive a call, they'll ask a series of questions regarding if everybody's healthy in the house, if anyone's had any issues, just so we know before we get there. When the officers will arrive at a house, they'll also ask the same questions. We still provide service. If there's COVID in the house and there's an emergency, we have to go in. And we've had personal protection, equipment, sanitation. Some of the things that we've had to do is our dispatch is very, very vital to us. We have a set number of dispatchers, and a COVID incident within dispatch could really, really hurt us to the point where we would lose our personnel. So one of the things we did was shut down the front desk. It doesn't mean we don't provide service to the community still, but it's just to keep the employees safe. We haven't received a lot of complaints regarding that, which is good. And we shut it down back, I believe, in April also for a short time. But when this spike came about, I made the decision to shut it down again. People still can get property back. They can still get copies of police reports. We're trying to kind of train or teach people to do more things online if they can. And also, like with retrieving property that may have been found or taken from you, you basically set up an appointment and do it. As far as, like I said, with dealing with people it's every day, we never know. We have had instances where our employees have, come down with illness due to this, and it's a tough time for us. It's a tough time for everybody. It's not just law enforcement. It's tough for firemen. It's tough for everyone, restaurant workers, anyone who deals with the public. If you never leave your house, you'll probably never get sick. But when your job is dealing with the public and going in houses and, helping people, it's a risk for us. And it's something that, we take very seriously.
I would think that might be even more activity at the mall. Because of the economic climate, you might have more situations there, sometimes maybe at food markets, which make things hard for the judges, because if somebody gets arrested for a petty larceny for taking food, that may be an issue for the courts. I don't know how far that would go.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard anything about vaccinations in terms of your department?
Nothing yet for law enforcement. I haven't heard anything on that. I don't know if Paul, our senior public safety dispatcher, has heard anything yet as far as law enforcement.
No, I haven't heard anything.
Chief, will your officers be required to receive the vaccine, mandatory or not?
Everyone has their own opinion on it. I have mine, and I know what I'm going to do. But this is something that we have to address with the unions because of collective bargaining agreement, the town attorney, the town council, and go from there.
I do want to say, it's Diane Benchkowski, Town of Cheektowaga Supervisor. The supervisors had a conference meeting with the county executive, and after all the medical staff, nursing homes are vaccinated, of course, the first responders are first on the list after that. So hopefully that will happen soon. So that would be your police, firemen, dispatch, I would think. Anybody, especially since we are a government agency, we do have a lot of essential employees.
Chief, do you have
Go ahead.
mental health advocates or just in the police department itself?
We have a very strong mental health program within the town of Chickawaga. We've had it for many years now. And what we do is outreach through our community services unit. We have an individual assigned to us full-time. And what this individual will do, this mental health professional will go out with one of our officers from community services and stop at people's houses, check up on people, say somebody takes a report of somebody maybe not acting what might seem to be right at the time or something like that. So they'll go out and they'll meet with this individual, advise them of programs, also assess them to make sure they're, you know, okay, that they're healthy and they're safe. That's our main thing is, you know, protecting people. It's always been. But I'm actually very proud of our mental health program within the town of Chickawaga Department. We were the first ones to have somebody full-time. And like I said, it only grows from there.
Okay, are these police officers or they're professionals?
We have one mental health professional and police officers go out. We also have a group of individuals trained in crisis intervention, and they go out and also meet with this. But our follow-up is done by the mental health professional with one of the community police officers.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, do we have a sense of our neighboring municipalities and where they are in this process and complying with the mandate? Buffalo, do we know what Buffalo's doing, or Amherst, or?
I know personally that Erie County has been on this and they're actually moving along pretty well with their meetings. I know that the town of Tonawanda is, I believe, almost done or getting close to done. I know they're pretty far advanced in theirs. And I know that the other agencies are kind of like us and just starting out, if you will.
Amherst is about where we are, and Lancaster.
Okay, thanks.
Chief, one thing I have to say, and I'm sure Kenny would agree with me, being presidents of our community for Duca and for his taxpayers group, that we really appreciated when the police came in, that we always have police presence there. They always tell everybody, the membership, what's going on in the town, and they look forward to that. I'm also part of that neighborhood watch, which it was just starting to grow, and now this has happened. What I'm finding just walking my neighborhood, which has many seniors, they're concerned. They don't know what's going on. There's not, again, it's because of these meetings not happening anymore, and the only paper we really get is the B of what's actually going on in town. They'll ask me. I said, how do I know? You know, I'm not in. I don't see anybody anymore. I talk to Officer Nazareth once in a while, but that's about it. And now I believe we have Lieutenant Schultz is taking over where Brian Coons was. But again, I've never really sat down and talked to him. But hopefully we can get, once this thing is over with and through this, that we could have a stronger community relationship with the police department, find out what is going on. And again, our seniors are very, I don't know, Kenny, I don't know about you guys in your group, but a lot of our seniors are afraid to call the police. And I told them, if there's a problem, call anyway. I don't want to look stupid. And we got to get that, we got to break that barrier for our community that the police department is our friend. We need them to protect us. We need them for our well-being. So that's got to be done in the community too.
I agree with you, Reverend Rick. One of the issues with COVID is we've lost some of the human touch. And like I said, we just can't get out to the meetings anymore because there are no meetings. I mean, I came and gave a little talk at yours when I first became chief, and we haven't had a meeting since. And I know that our community services unit attends regularly and provides statistics on issues within that group, within the, the town park or the Dick Urban area, whoever asks for statistics. And that's one of the casualties of this COVID is just getting out and basically meeting with people who actually want to hear what we have to say sometimes. And I mean, we're not opposed to, depending on what type of newsletter, what kind of outreach you have, sending you information. And then you can disperse it to your constituents within your area there. But like I said, it's tough times. And, like I said, this meeting was supposed to be live as a supervisor, and, Richie can attest to it. And like I said, here we are doing everything on cameras in, 12 different locations. But it's something we have to do. Safety has to come first. And it's basically where we're at right now in society and where we are at the end of 2020.
Thanks, Chief.
Anybody
The
else?
only thing that I would add was that, Mr. Young, you asked about mental health. Just so everybody on the panel knows, Cheektowaga is truly the leader in the mental health stuff. The police academy depends on Cheektowaga as a leader, both in our training, it's at the basic academy, and both at the supervision level also. So they truly have, and the rest of the county has followed what, Cheektowaga has done with the mental health stuff.
It might be nice to point that out, Captain, to the community, because quite frankly, what Kenny raised, I thought was really pertinent with this defund the police. One of the parts of that, I think, was the fact that, there to be other expertise out there in lieu of the police making these calls. The combination of you having a mental health expert and a crisis intervention person and a police officer sounds very good. And it combats the type of, discussions regarding defunding police, which are don't serve anybody's purpose. But I'm glad you brought that up, Captain, because that's really a credit to our police department.
I can't say enough about it. I'm very proud of our mental health work within the community. And like I said, each year it just grows and grows. We were on the forefront of it, and, through some really hardworking individuals within my department who brought it to the department, came up with this idea. And like I said, we were the first ones in the area. And like Rich Chamberlain is saying, now we're teaching it.
Yeah, a lot of the traffic that goes to the court is people with mental health issues, obviously. And other than just running a forensic, the court's hands were kind of tied. A lot of people that were in the court system didn't really belong there, quite frankly. But this is the police, again, department acting as a safety net for those situations. And sometimes those court cases would be funneled through the court, and it would be, for lack of a better term, a good thing. But I really appreciate the fact, and I didn't even know this, that our police department has all these other parties involved when people have mental health issues, because that's a wonderful thing to compliment our police department.
It is, and it's about the outreach. Like I said, they don't just deal with somebody once. They work with them as much as they can and as often they can to solve the issue, to help the person, to get them in the right direction. And like I said, we've had great success with it, and I'm very proud of that within our department.
Chief, as far as restraints, do you guys use tasers, or have you heard of this rope thing that comes out of a gun, and it actually goes around the person to restrain them? Have you heard of anything like that?
We currently, our officers carry OC spray, which is pepper spray, and they're also equipped with tasers. We have officers with tasers. As far as that, the rope that came out, I believe it's called a bolo wrap. And to the best of my knowledge, I never saw it live, but I believe, I don't know, I might be misspeaking an attorney, but I believe Buffalo took a look at it. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't know if they're going with it, but I never saw it operate. I know how it works just from, I don't know, maybe looking it up on YouTube or something like that, but I've never actually seen it live. But yeah, like I said, we are equipped with, non-lethal with the tasers and with the OC spray.
Chief, any chance of down the line, we could look outside the box? We talked about mental health, but there's also, in my part, being clergy, of getting, I'm trained as a chaplain. And there's others are trained as chaplains, that we could possibly diffuse problems within a household or whatever. Yes, as long as you have mental health people too, but you could also have people within the religious community to help out the police and helping our community too. Some of these people, when maybe when not talk to a mental health professional, they may talk to a minister or a priest or an imam or Jewish. So it's something that maybe we could look at down the line, because we want our community to stay strong and stay healthy. Not only that, to stay safe.
Reverend Rick, that's why we're here, for ideas like that. And, that's something that we'll certainly discuss and we'll certainly look at. And who knows, maybe in a short amount of time, we might be talking about this program on the news, talking about it on our website, saying what we're doing. I'm not opposed to anything. I mean, we're here for ideas, we're here to make the town the best it can be, the department the best it can be. And that's why we're here.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have nothing further. We've got our next meeting set for the 21st, correct?
Yes.
Well, I'll make the motion.
Councilman Mazer.
Legislator Tom Mazer.
Councilman Mazer.
Okay, so why don't we close for tonight then, and hopefully people will send in their comments, especially after watching this meeting. We're looking for comments, so please email or send a letter in the mail to the chief. All the information's on our website, and also what's important is to take that survey, because there are some very, very good questions in that survey. And also it'll give us an idea what people are thinking that you might not even think of commenting on until you take the survey.
So that survey is available to anyone on the town's website.
Yes, anyone can take it. It's on the town website. And also we will be, Richie and the chief will be reading all the letters that are sent in, the email or regular mail. We won't be disclosing whose name is on it. We will just read them at the next meeting to give you all input, and possibly you probably should send copies to the entire task force so they all have that too. And if you want me to send anything else, we'll be happy to do that from my office.
Hey, Diane.
Yes.
John Dujek.
Hi, John.
This comments for Jim Valone. Jim, if you want to touch base between now and the next meeting, I'll do some research on that STAT Act and see where we're at, since it's just got, it just really came into play the last few days in terms of activated, or we can talk offline if you'd like before then. Maybe we can get some more information together on that.
I don't know, are the lawyers allowed to talk by themselves? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
I'm teasing. All right, yes, John, I'll make sure I get the statute out to you. And his press release talked about the chokeholds. But with that said, yes, John, I'd be glad to get that stuff to you, and then we can talk about it. It's nice to see everybody.
You as well.
Nice seeing you, Jim.
Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Yes.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
Merry
everyone.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.